All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. So, in today's episode, we are at number 3 of our mini series 20 Lessons from 20 Weeks of Training, where I'm sharing 20 lessons that were really important for me through a bit of a training process I went through last year, which I think is so relevant for anyone going through a training process for their adventures. So, essentially, episode number 3, or mini episode number 3, is about avoid distractions. And this is such an important thing. Now, my personal story here is when I started this training process, it was a process around martial arts. I started talking about it. I started looking at these things online or whatever it may be. And the way this typically works, and anyone will experience this if you're hiking, if you're looking to change your body shape, if you're looking at go on holidays, whatever it may be, the way the world works these days, if you're on social media, the second you express interest in something, your social media will start showing that. You'll start seeing videos, you'll start seeing ads, you'll start seeing Google advertisements, all of this stuff. It's just the way things work. So for me, when I started doing this martial arts, I started getting interested in training, learning moves, learning exercises, fitness for martial arts, all of this type of stuff. And essentially what started happening is my Instagram, all the videos on that turned into these types of things. My Facebook ads, all the videos on that, or all advertisements turns into these things. I was bombarded about training programs, about products, about this and this and this and this and this. And essentially, it got a bit overwhelming because I was doing this training program. I was working with the coaches. And then in the back of my head, I was getting all these things. I was like, oh, should I be doing that? Or should I buy this thing? Or should I try this exercise? Or maybe I should do this technique this way, or whatever it may be. And essentially, I had to pull myself back because I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole. And I was getting a little bit confused, a little bit overwhelmed. I was like, I just didn't know what I should be doing. And I had to catch myself because I see this professionally all the time. And I realized I was falling in the same trap. And I was like, you know what? There is 1,000,001 ways of going about anything. Social media typically is not an amazing place to gather information. I knew I had a trusted source of information from my coaching staff. I'd signed up to a program. They had a plan. They had a process that they were following. And I had to say to myself, look, I need to trust their process. I need to focus on the things they asked me to do. I need to do what their plan is. And I need to eliminate these other distractions. So it just clears up the mental space. I stop second guessing things. I stop questioning things. Stop getting myself confused. Stop getting myself overwhelmed. So essentially I went through a process of just getting off social media or avoiding those videos. Or if I saw them, I just watched them for entertainment as opposed to genuinely think this is what I'm going to do. For me, that was really, really, really great turning point because it just freed up so much mental space. And this is such a common thing that I hear from hikers, and particularly people that we train or people that, are in the free groups or whatever it may be. And typically people will book on a hiking adventure or they'll start training. They'll start getting those million videos around this is how you train for hiking, or this is how you get on top of knee pain, or this is what you should be doing for Kilimanjaro. This is the best exercise. This is the best workout. Do this or whatever it may be. And it gets incredibly, incredibly, incredibly confusing. You end up being pulled in all different sources, all different directions. One person was saying this exercise is good for you. Another person was saying it's not. One person was saying you need to focus on this. Another person was saying you need to focus on this. One person will say this is the best pair of boots for Kilimanjaro. Another person will say don't wear boots on Kilimanjaro, or whatever it may be. You get 1,000,000 sources of information. You get pulled in all these different directions. You get confused. You get overwhelmed. Some people end up getting that paralysis from analysis and they just don't do anything. Some people just get stressed out and they always have that little voice in the back of their head saying, am I doing the right thing? Or whatever it may be. It's a really, 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 really tricky situation. And ultimately, if you want to see success, you cannot be pulled in all these different directions. What you need to do, if you're training for an adventure, if you're trying to achieve big things in 2024, you want to find one source of quality information for what you're trying to achieve. One source that you trust, one source that you are confident they're going to help you, and you want to stick to it. You want to put all your attention into that one source. And ultimately, you want to avoid other distractions. Now, a common example of this is, personally in Summit Strength, we specialize in helping hikers. And we'll have a lot of hikers that'll come work with us, but they'll also be working with other trainers. They'll be working doing group exercise. They'll be doing, personal training in a local gym or whatever it may be, which is fine. But oftentimes, they'll get conflicting information. We'll say do one thing, trainer will say do something else. And they're like, what do I do? And I know confidently that what we recommend works Not to say what the trainer's saying works. It's just different things. But you cannot see success if you're pulled in all these other directions. Really, it's really, 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 really hard to do. So, if you are training for a big adventure, or if you are trying to get on top of a campaign, or if you are trying to get your gear sorted, or if you are trying to make a change in your body, or whatever it may be, give yourself a couple of weeks. Have a really, 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 really big think. Where do you want your information coming from? Is it from me? Awesome. Is it from, a local personal trainer? Is it from podcast? Is it from whatever? Hone in on that. Listen to what they say. Listen to watch what they do, and go full in on that. If there are things that they don't cover, absolutely go to other sources of information. But don't confuse yourself by getting pulled in all these different directions. If you're getting bombarded with videos on Instagram, skip over them or start clicking on that thing and saying you're not interested. Clear it out, whatever it may be. But training and fitness, in all honesty, it doesn't need to be complicated. Yes, there are better ways of doing things, but ultimately a training process, it doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be stressful. It doesn't need to be overwhelming. But we essentially make it complicated by just overwhelming our mind. You get too much mental stress, get pulled in too many directions or whatever it may be. So for me, going back to my training journey, it was a turning point. It was so valuable for me just to say, you know what? No, I'm going to trust my coaches. I'm going to forget about all these outside influences. I'm just going to do what they do and they recommend. And if I have questions, I'm going to ask them and not try to figure this out on social media. For me, it was a massive turning point. And for you, I strongly recommend you think of doing that in some way or another, whether you're working directly with a coach or whether you're just sourcing information from someone else or whatever it may be. It'll simplify things, it'll make your life easier, and ultimately that'll make a big difference for your success. So with all that being said, I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps a few people, and I hope a few people hop off now and get on the Instagram and start unfollowing a few people or whatever it may be, because it can make just such a difference. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed today, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.